Hello everyone. So I'm going to be sharing with you today why I've made the decision to sell my Speedy B 25 in Damier Ebene. I've owned this bag for quite some time, and even now when I'm deciding to release it, it will still be in my collection but in a limited edition print. But I've decided to let it go because I made a recent purchase from the LV website. I don't believe I've done an unboxing. I don't really think it needs one. But I bought the Odeon PM, the Odeon Tote in the size PM. And I just feel like it's redundant at this point. They're both the same print. They're both in the same size category. You can see there's a marginal difference there. And they just look too similar. And I actually much prefer the look of the Odeon Tote. It just looks much more modern to me. And there's a few things that I just prefer about it. So I'll be sharing those with you, and that's ultimately why I made the decision to let this one go, aside from the fact that they just look way too similar in look and way too similar in their function for me to keep both. I know this one is a classic. A lot of people would never let it go, but for me, this one looks just much more modern. For those of you that have been watching my channel for quite some time, or any of my videos, thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate all of you that do. I owned this Sienna PM for a really long time, and I absolutely love that bag. I thought it was just so feminine looking, so beautiful, but I ultimately let it go because it sat very awkwardly on the body when I wore it crossbody. And that's something that the Odeon fixes because it's really, really pliable, and it has a much smaller side profile, so it doesn't stand away from your body as much as, say, the Sienna or an Alma. It sits much closer to your body, and I really, really like that. So that's, one of the reasons too I'm letting the Speedy go, is that I find the canvas on this one a little bit tougher, a little bit harder, and this one's softer, and I do prefer a softer canvas overall. One of the other reasons is that when I got the Odeon Tote, one of the first things I noticed was how wide the opening is. It's not like super wide or anything like that, but certainly you have a much bigger space to move your arm around. You can see all of your items at a glance. You don't have to worry about not being able to see everything. So that's really appealing. Whereas with the Speedy 25, it's got some stuffing in its strap in there right now. You really have to open it up quite a bit, and it's not as easy to see your items at a glance, which I like to do. I don't really like to use base shapers, so I like to be able to fish around in my bag, and I just find it easier to do with the Odeon Tote. And I also like that this comes with black. It's black strap, black handles, and of course the luggage tag right here, whereas compared to this one, it's in the brown. So they're both really nice, but I just think that the black against the Ebene looks really, really nice. Looks really sharp. It looks more modern. You can also see, and it's got nothing to do with the lighting, that this is much fresher color. It's like a richer brown almost. And like I said, it's got nothing to do with lighting. It actually, I think the black contrasting against the Ebene gives it that nice modern look. This one doesn't have a lock and a key. My Speedy does, somewhere in the pocket back here. Here it's back here, my key and my lock, which I've never used. So it makes no sense to have that. And if you do use it, it adds weight. It actually adds weight just being in the bag. So this one not having anything extra except for this really lightweight luggage tag, I like that it doesn't have a lock and a key because that's not something that's necessary. It's not something I've ever used. And the overall shape is just much nicer to me. It doesn't require a base shaper, and I know that a lot of people use base shapers in the Speedy. It kind of helps a little bit to keep its structure, whereas this one, you wouldn't need a base shaper in order for it to, maintain the structure. It's really, really beautifully made. No feet on the bottom though, in case you're wondering. And I just like the pleat. It's got that beautiful pleat. It reminds me, of course, of the Sienna. Kind of see it right there. So it's got a bit of, a feminine touch to it. Not so unisex looking, not that there's anything wrong with that, but it has a real feminine touch to it. It looks like just a beautifully made bag. Not to say that this isn't, but this just appeals to me aesthetically a lot more. And then the handle drop, let me see if I can raise the camera slightly. Give me just a second. So the handle drop right here is also longer than on the Speedy. so it's much more comfortable for your arm to like slip through, and I'll try and insert some modeling shots so you can see that. But your hand comes up much higher on this than on this. You've got a lot more space to put your arm through and arm carry. So that's really nice too. And the handles are much thinner as well than on here, so it just feels better to carry. So I'd like to know, between the two, which you would prefer if you would, make the decision to sell the Speedy. I know it's a classic, obviously, a lot of people would never let it go, but it also has like interior pockets and features that aren't useful anymore. Like, what are you gonna put in this dinky little pocket? You can't fit a phone, you can't really fit any useful items, whereas excuse me, with the Odeon, you have like these two spacious back pockets. You have another one back here that would easily accommodate the phone. So although the Speedy's been around, having not been updated, there's a few things that like we carry in, modern times, so to speak, that the Speedy doesn't accommodate anymore. And no, a lot of bags, I think, do a better job these days than the Speedy, because they've recognize that pockets need to be bigger inside, that the openings need to be a little bit wider, that a difference in the linings is attractive to some people. And I think this one, I don't know, just overall, I find it much more my style, as I did with the Sienna as well. And you can see there's a bit of a difference there in the length, although might be deceiving because the zipper on this one kind of goes in a weird shape. And there they are by the side. And the hardware on this one is much thicker, but feels lighter, if that makes sense. It's thicker, but lighter. The hardware on this is substantially lighter. And then of course you only have the one zipper here, whereas you have the two right here. But anyway, those are the reasons I'm going to be letting it go. I do prefer this one. I'll model both for you.